My name is Jack. I'm 60 years old. I live alone in a small apartment above a shoe shop. I don't have a wife or children. My only friend is a small parrot named Pip. He has bright green and red feathers. He often sits on my shoulder while I work and sleeps in his cage at night. Every day is the same. I wake up early, make coffee, and start working on clocks. I used to run a clock shop, but now I'm retired. I still enjoy fixing old clocks. They are like puzzles to me. After that, I clean a bit and feed Pip. Sometimes I walk to the market. Afternoons are quiet. I listen to the radio or watch the clouds. In the evening, I eat dinner alone. Pip sits near me. Then I fix more clocks and go to bed. This has been my routine for many years. Life is quiet and a little lonely, but I've gotten used to it. Sometimes the silence feels heavy. One morning, something changed. I was drinking coffee when I heard loud music from the apartment below. It was jazz music, and no one had lived there for weeks. Soon there was a knock on my door. A woman with long red hair stood there. She looked about 40 and had a kind smile. Her name was Kate. She had just moved into the apartment downstairs. She didn't say much, but her smile and presence brought a warm feeling. My quiet life had a new color. For the first time in years, I wondered what might come next. The next evening, Kate knocked on my door. I opened it slowly. She smiled and held a big green plant. "Hello, Mr. Jack," she said. "I thought this might look nice in your window." I was surprised, but happy. No one had given me a gift in years. I invited her in. Pip, my parrot, watched her quietly. We sat in the living room. I made us coffee. The warm smell filled the room and made it feel cozy. Kate said she was a painter. She painted people and cities in bright colors. She talked about famous artists. I told her about my love for clocks. We both liked old music and classic films. It was easy to talk to her. She listened with care, and her eyes lit up when she spoke. Time passed quickly. I felt warm, not just from the coffee, but from her being there. The silence in my home was gone. Before leaving, Kate smiled and said, "Maybe we can do this again next week." I said yes right away. That's how our weekly talks began. Every Thursday, she came to visit. We shared stories and laughed. Soon we met more often, twice a week, then almost every day. She showed me her paintings. I showed her my clocks. My quiet life began to change. The silence was filled with voices and friendship. Kate brought light into my days. Her visits became the best part of my week. It was simple, but it meant so much. Our new friendship became a special part of my life. The sun was shining brightly, just like many other days. I was sitting in my living room, fixing a small clock. Pip, my parrot, was sleeping in his cage. My life was quiet, as usual. Kate and I talked every day. Her stories made my home feel less lonely. One afternoon, I suddenly heard a loud noise from the staircase. A man was shouting. I looked up and saw him standing in front of Kate. He was young, with black hair and a red, angry face. He looked very upset. Kate stood quietly listening. She didn't shout back. This wasn't the smiling Kate I knew. She looked different, quiet, serious. The man pointed his finger at her, shouting louder. Then he turned and looked straight at me. His eyes were cold. He stared at me like he didn't like me at all. Then he turned back to Kate. I looked down at my clock, feeling nervous. My heart beat faster. Who was this man? That evening, Kate came to my door. She looked tired. Her usual warm smile was gone. We sat down for coffee. The air felt heavy. After a long silence, I asked softly, Kate, who was that man today? She took a deep breath and looked at her hands. That was my brother, Thomas, she said quietly. We have problems, big problems. I was surprised. I didn't know she had a brother. He looked very angry, I said. She stared at her coffee cup. Yes, I don't talk to my family much, not for many years. Why? I asked gently. I wanted to understand. She looked up. Her eyes were full of sadness. I made mistakes, Jack, she said. Big ones. They changed everything for my family. She didn't say more. She just sat quietly. She told me that Thomas was the only one in her family who still spoke to her. But he acted more like a guard than a brother. That made me think, what kind of mistake could hurt a family so badly? Why was her brother so angry? Kate had always been kind and full of life with me. But now I saw a different side of her, a sad side with secrets. I wondered about her past, about the life she had before she moved in. The warmth she brought now seemed to carry a shadow. Her family problems were deep, and they clearly hurt her deeply. Jack's quiet days had changed. Now his home was full of voices and company. Every afternoon, Kate came to visit. They drank coffee and talked for hours. Jack felt happy. He liked Kate very much. She was kind and funny. She told him stories from her life. She said she was single. Her last relationship ended many years ago. Jack felt sorry for her. He knew what it felt like to be alone. Pip, Jack's little green and red parrot, often sat nearby. Sometimes he sat on Kate's shoulder and sang quietly. Kate would smile, and Jack felt warm inside. One afternoon, Kate visited like usual. They had coffee. Kate talked about her new painting, a busy street full of people and cars. Jack talked about an old grandfather clock he was fixing. As the sun went down, the sky turned orange and pink. Kate looked at her watch. She said she needed to go. She stood up quickly, maybe in a bit of a rush. She said goodbye and left. Jack started to clean up. He took the coffee cups to the sink. Then, on the small wooden table, he saw something. It was a black notebook with a thin elastic band. It was not his. It had to be Kate's. She must have forgotten it. Jack picked up the notebook. He held it in his hands for a long time. His heart beat faster. Should he open it? It wasn't his. It was private. But he had so many questions. He remembered when Kate said she had made mistakes. Was this notebook part of her past? His hand shook a little. Curiosity was strong. Slowly he opened the notebook. Inside was a small pen. The writing was neat and small. He read a sentence that made him freeze. I will always love you, even if you never choose me. Jack read it again. Even if you never choose me. What did that mean? Kate had said she was single, but this notebook talked about someone she loved, someone she hoped would choose her. He looked at the words. I will always love you, even if you never choose me. The neat writing looked blurry. Jack's heart beat fast, like a quiet drum in the silent room. He felt like he had seen something he should not have. Kate, his kind and smiling friend, had a big secret. He slowly closed the notebook and put it back on the table. He felt bad for reading it. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, counting each second. Jack sat in his chair, deep in thought. Who was this person Kate loved so much, and why didn't they choose her? Suddenly he heard a sound on the stairs. It was Kate's voice. She was talking to herself. She must have remembered her notebook. Jack quickly stood up. His mind was full of thoughts. Should he act like he didn't read it? Yes, he decided. He didn't want things to feel strange. A moment later, there was a soft knock on his door. He opened it and saw Kate. She looked a little worried. Oh, Jack, I'm sorry to bother you again, she said. I think I left my notebook here. Jack smiled and gave it to her. Here you go, Kate, he said, trying to sound normal. You left it on the table. She smiled warmly, and her eyes showed relief. Thank you so much, she said. This notebook is very important to me. She held it close. I really appreciate it. No problem at all, he said. It was nice to see you, Kate. She said goodbye and walked downstairs. Jack closed the door slowly. He felt both relieved and confused. He was glad he didn't say anything. But now the mystery of the notebook stayed in his mind. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the sentence. He realized he didn't really know Kate's past. She had told him about her brother and family problems. But this was something different. This was about love and a broken heart. He wondered if this old pain was why she was alone now. Jack decided not to ask her about it. The notebook was her secret. Their friendship was special, and he didn't want to lose it. He believed she would tell him when she was ready. So he chose to wait and be the kind friend she had always been to him. He just had to be patient, like a clockmaker waiting for the right time to fix a broken part. Jack's patience was finally rewarded. A few days later, Kate knocked on his door again. This time she wasn't smiling. She was holding her notebook. "Jack," she said softly, I think you saw something in here. I want to tell you the truth." She sat down and took a deep breath. Then she told him the notebook was her journal from many years ago. The sentence he read was about her first love. It was a man she met in college. The man was afraid to be with her. That's why Kate wrote, "Even if you never choose me." Her family didn't accept her. That's what caused the family problems. Her brother, Tom's, was the only one who still talked to her, but he always told her to change who she was. Jack listened quietly. He felt sad for all the pain she had gone through. He gently took her hand. "Kate," he said, "thank you for trusting me. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But it doesn't change anything. You are still my friend and a very special one." Kate smiled, this time a real smile, full of light. The heavy sadness she carried seemed to disappear. Jack's quiet home now felt warm and safe. Their friendship was stronger, filled with trust, and maybe something even more was beginning to grow. Together, they had found comfort, kindness, and a new start.